Welcome to Vanguard Consulting Group's booth at the Appcon 2.0, Net America's week of events during National Apprenticeship Week. We are going to have a great discussion here with our colleague, Tanya Mendenhall, who's going to share with us some of her career journey from healthcare to healthcare IT and why diversity in tech is imperative. We'll also be discussing the benefits of expanding registered apprenticeship programs in these areas and increasing the numbers of minorities involved in the field. Today we have with us my teammate, Kiyoshana LeCount Burrell, and we have our friend Tanya Mendenhall. Welcome, everybody. Thank you for joining.
Thank you.
Thank you, Akil. Thank you.
Before we get started, let's talk about a National Apprenticeship Week real quick. Kiyo, can you give us a little insight on why we're here?
Sure thing. So for those of you who may not know, this is actually the 7th annual National Apprenticeship Week. And National Apprenticeship Week is a nationwide celebration where industry, labor, equity, workforce, education, government people all combine into one space and host different events that showcase the successes and the value of registered apprenticeships in rebuilding our economy, as well as advancing racial and gender equity, and really just supporting underserved communities. So this is a very, very old, but still very timely practice, these registered apprenticeships. And there are lots of great opportunities for growth throughout different sectors. And I'm really excited that we're going to get the opportunity to talk with Tanya, our friend today, about health and healthcare and tech, because those are areas that are typically not what you think of when you think about registered apprenticeships. And so really looking forward to this conversation.
Yeah, and that's actually really great, a really great way to kick it off, because as we know, the registered apprenticeship programs through Department of Labor have traditionally been about construction, have been about advanced manufacturing, have been about mechanics and electrician and all these areas. And actually, it's expanded exponentially in the opportunity of different fields. As a matter of fact, Vanguard Consulting Group is working very diligently with our partners at Net America and HSG and ICF to expand apprenticeship programs in healthcare IT, and energy, but have also delved into and moved further into informatics and also data science and cybersecurity. So as you can tell, there are a number of opportunities, and it's pretty limitless on how many apprenticeship programs can be developed, and it being an opportunity and a pathway into career that is a little different than going to college or other traditional means. And for apprenticeships with Department of Labor, you have to be 18 and up, and that is the pretty much the criteria. So us as intermediaries, we are here to make sure that we support you in that effort and move forward. But for today, we are going to talk with our friend Tanya and talk about her journey through healthcare to healthcare IT and into tech. So Tanya, tell us a little bit about yourself, kind of giving us a little context about how you kind of started, how you started in healthcare and then kind of organically moved into health IT and further on.
All right. Hello, everyone. So happy to be here. I've been fortunate to, during my career, I've recommended and maintained the full spectrum of technologies required to operate one of the highest rated hospitals in the country. So from running patient-centric technologies to ensuring institutional systems that everything runs smoothly. And I kind of found my niche in empowering people to navigate and maximize their experience with complex information systems. And I didn't set out to do that initially. So it's interesting. I started off as a quality improvement coordinator at a major hospital, and I saw a need, right? There was a lot of conflict sometimes between the physicians and the nurses when it came to communication, because our department got a lot of complaints and things like that. So I developed and implemented what they call physician feedback information system. So you had like over 2,000 physicians and like 2,500 participating nurses. And I created a system where it was electronic, because at that point it was like paper, this is ridiculous. And there was accountability with that because there had to be a response to those complaints. And the doctors literally pushed a button, they filled out their complaint, and it was triaged to the appropriate person. And I was not technical, I had no idea what I was doing, but I worked with some other teams when I had to do this to, bring everybody in, the right people in the room to make it happen. And from there, I took a position as a data reporting analyst.
Okay.
And that started sort of my journey on into that. And that was more so, we had a system called Midas, and I would train all the nurses on the system because it's not exactly the medical record. It's a system that's outside the medical record where things needs to go to risk management as, things arise in the hospital. Guys, I've seen some things, but, and then I ended up becoming a system analyst in IT. And it just sort of like I fell into it. It was organic, So I took my natural skills set and just to say, which actually was people and resources and connections, because each position was pretty much, hey, Tanya, we know your work, come work for me, So that was pretty much my trajectory over the last 17 years in that specific hospital.
That's
then I
amazing.
branched out and I learned how to do testing and, ended up with another company, writing test scripts and things like that. So I wouldn't say, people think technical, you are, writing code and doing all these other things. There's other ways to kind of dibble and dabble into IT. It doesn't necessarily have to be that route. And I've stumbled upon it.
That's excellent.
Yeah.
I find it really interesting how, we don't know how our career is going to go sometimes, and we don't know what direction it's going to go, and even if we have it planned out, right? So it's really cool, and I think it's a tribute to you to have kind of that flexibility and be able to navigate into areas that you didn't start out thinking that you were going to be in. I mean, you started out in healthcare, and you worked a long time in healthcare areas before you start transitioning to the other things. We live and I know that that's over a number of years, but we live in an age now where health IT is involved in every facet of the hospital, of care, period, right? Not just the hospital, but outside of the hospital and billing and everything else. What are some of the other areas, and I named a couple like billing and some of the other pieces of it, but what are some of the other areas that are career paths that health IT may touch that you can think of off the top of your head?
Well, what I saw a lot of was they would take people, a lot of nurses would come over to IT, because what happens is they want the knowledge of that nurse, right? Mm-hmm. And then they just trained them. So if there was an interest and they had been working with them, I saw a lot of nurses kind of slide on over and give some good feedback, coming from patient-centric, a situation, they could give a whole nother perspective, which is valuable, very valuable.
That's a perfect point. And I don't mean to cut you off, but because I just want to make a mention, and this is, obviously for those who've tapped into our booth here, that, that perspective, and we talk about career pathways, right? So we talk about, nurses and for the sake of apprenticeships, we have, CNAs, certified nursing assistants, we have, in the healthcare area, and there are a number of careers that apprenticeships are built out of there. But I thought that I think it's very interesting, and I think it's a really good point that I want people to kind of resonate with or grasp onto, is that, healthcare IT, you could start in, as a nurse or as another position, but because you're utilizing these tools and you're utilizing, the things that are available in the IT side of it, that you might have that may be a career path just like with you, that you didn't necessarily plan for,
Right.
but organically fell into. So I think I appreciate you saying that.
And I think it's key to just stay open and not to get stuck, and continue to, IT is so broad, but you have to continue to learn and stay up on things, because the next day it could be outdated.
Right.
Just like that.